Thank you, Carlo, for introduction, and thanks, Berlinger, for having me on this talk. This is as Carlo mentioned, I'm second time standing here, and this time is my special because I and my professor have the same event in this talk. So, and he didn't tell me to use a picture like him, like a visa photo. So next time. So, and today my talk is about the pest control in Thailand and challenging and opportunity. Actually, this implement in CPF Pig Business Unit. So, but it's large enough, more than 90 farms that use this strategy. So let's start in the our group. Let me introduce about our group veterinarian in CPF Pig Business. It's totally 19 person, and it's me and my boss, Dr. Damnen, and our group, and somebody also inside this meeting, and have a veterinarian in Vietnam and in Russia. So, introduce about CP and CPF swine operation. As somebody might know that CP not only in Thailand but also in Vietnam, China, and over 11 countries, more than 500,000 sows, mainly in Thailand, Vietnam, and China. So, let's talk about PRRS. Why we have some experience in PRRS virus, and actually we start test. Excuse me. Actually, we start to first test for the PRRS ELISA in 1995. I think the first big company in Thailand that used for the ELISA, and then we fortunately we found that one of our GGP negative or naive for the PRRS virus. So we start expand that farm to the second pyramid of production to have another and expand for the PRRS negative farm since 2003, and from to the 2003 to currently we have many PRRS negative farm, but honestly, and we also have many outbreak from the PRRS negative farm, and we call also use the global technology. Global technology is a combination of the global and local technology, not copy local, using local technology. So to be the first sustain our vision to high number one quality and big health production in Thailand. So, and let's start in the biosecurity law to maintain PRRS negative farm. So, and as our record, the origination of PRRS outbreak since 2006 to 2014, and the number one is selling process, and I will talk about this later. Why we know this selling process is the number one cause of problem. 46 cases and 67%, and number two is worker and visitor, and third replacement queue, transportation, and followed by the location. Because 30 years ago you made the number one, I mean the only one in that area, but 5 or 10 years later you also have a neighborhood farm, and so far you cannot be able to have any outbreak, and one case from pork. So totally 69, and the number one and number two from human is 83%. So if we can control number one and number two, we can reduce the risk almost 83%. So this picture is overview about the biosecurity system, and people always concerned about what we move in the pathogen into the farm, but less concerned about the or another pathogen into the farm in the selling process. I talk to my friend, it looks like when you go to this country or go to the US, you need to have a visa, you need to have an interview, you have to have a second interview in the immigration grade. But when you go out this country, just a stamp and go. So people always, for example, in the replacement guild, usually have a many blood tests many times before move into the pig farm. So let's start in the first category in the selling process. And why is selling process is important? The first thing is the selling process is the process that link between the pig house and selling house, and also list for the disease contamination, not only for the PRRS, PED, or other pathogen cause of contamination via selling process via staff and truck. And we cannot control the customer truck because in Thailand, or I think even in Southeast Asia, the market is a local market. It's spot market. It's not the big packer or further processing like a US. So you have like 5 finishing pig customer or 10 and so on. So we cannot control the customer truck that they may go for the local slaughterhouse and pick up pig from your farm and go to the another farm, or go to like pick up to the another location. So and the next thing is we cannot forecast for the sudden death pig. For example, when go to the farm in the morning, you may have a problem to move the sudden death sow 200 or 300 kilogram and move out from your pen. And the last thing is this process, selling process, is the most least activity but less inspect by supervisor, because people are always concerned about the productivity and management. So this picture will show you in step by step about for example, if you as I mentioned before, if you have found that this morning you have 1 death of sow, and you need to move this out to a third party for rendering, not for human consumption. What you're gonna do? And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 person to move this pig. And in our company, we separate worker duty by cloth color. For example, this guy for only in the selling area, and green color for the inside pig area inside. And you can see this is a customer come alone. What you gonna do? Just let him move this pig? No, it's not possible. So or maybe in another case that for the worker help customer to move to this. Just I mentioned before, this is a customer truck. You see this is how clean of this truck. So and then after they help the customer, they go back to work inside the selling house, moving or anything, blah blah blah. And then for the selling house, go back. And what important for the selling house, this is many bacteria and viral, as you know, they can survive in tropical country like a suitable temperature and humidity. So this is already confirmed that for the classical survival fever 60 days, FMD 56 days, and so on, and bacteria also that more than 180 days. And you can see this is a real situation for the area around the selling house. And what's next? What's next is the ventilation fan. If in case of finishing pig that waiting for the next round for selling, waiting for inside and already infected by the contamination, as I mentioned before, what's going on next? This is they're shedding the virus, right? If they keep in this building more than 1 day, and they still shedding through the ventilation fan, as professor mentioned in the morning that some virus can contaminate by airflow, and then the next round for sending pig contaminate to the next round of truck and contaminate to the people who work in this area. And what's going on when they go back to the pig zone or inside farm? They're moving and may contaminate also inside. So that's why it's come with the CPF policy that only the customer truck, or we call in this presentation is buffer truck, clean and disinfect can go to the selling house. And because this is we can based on because of company truck, that's why we can have specific for downtime, and we can check for the how clean and when this truck already have a disinfection. So we, and in the first slide that I present you that we implement the biosecurity risk analysis that we call biosecurity matrix, and we separate into part. That's a software part and hardware part. And the software is not a complicated software. It's about the processing or the protocol, how to good practice in selling process. If our farm do collect in both software and hardware part, they're gonna get the clean grade or low risk of contamination. And if farm do collect only the hardware part and wrong in the software part, they're gonna get the yellow color or moderate risk. And if they do the incorrect hardware part but do correct in the software part, they're gonna get high or orange, look like orange. And if they incorrect both hardware part and software part, they're gonna get really high risk for contamination. So what is the software and hardware? And for the hardware, is have composed of the selling house, shoot in, shoot out, central selling house, and CCTV. And CCTV is the closed circuit television. It's the same as if somebody have in your house that camera inside to monitor your house. And the software is a protocol process, that's a selling process for the breeder and winning pig, or selling process for the finishing pig. This picture show the this is example of the selling house, standard selling house. The selling house, and based on the hardware part, you need to have a load in and load out. For the load in, the chute load in needs have a way away from the ventilation fan to avoid the contamination. And this is the area for the clean and disinfect truck area. Every round that to send the finishing pig, you need to clean and disinfect before go to the next round, and separate the, and this guy for the driver not step on for in the loading in, and this load out. This is have a separate and have a solid floor to easy to clean and disinfect. And this picture zoom in the load in, for the load in area. As you can see that the ventilation fan and load in have to avoid contamination by ventilation fan to the internal truck, and this area for the clean and disinfect. And you can see you have a CCTV for the monitoring. Yes. And for the load out area, need to have like a solid cement floor to easy clean and disinfect. And this is customer truck to you need to make sure that the spray and disinfect with the disinfectant. So and still have a problem. Previously we recruit one person for spray this. First we use the customer step spray and clean by themselves, but we still have the problem because as your customer maybe sometimes you just a little bit spray, right? So because they don't want to spray corrosive liquid to their truck, and we recruit one staff to do like this job, but we still have a problem. Guess why? Because they have a complaint from the customer that you spray me a lot, you spray that truck a little, have a problem. So that's why we change to automatic car spray. And this is that customer talk about the machine. So this is spray, and every time you spray like this, and this spray can move front and back. And to avoid the contamination from the worker, so for the load out, we also use the automatic belt for transportation pick to the customer. That's easy, right? And okay. And how about for the shoot out for the winning pick? This is for the finishing pick, and this for the winning pick. For the winning pick, we have the area that is like a bridge between the inside and outside farm. And for the bridge, we have at the side for the connect between outside and inside for loading winning pick. You have a high pressure and disinfectant spray, and you also have the solid floor in both load in and load out, and septic pit to drain after use disinfectant. And this picture show the how we win and move out the winning pig. And you can see if we move out the PRRS negative piglet, we use the closed truck, and this is move in. This is internal truck, and you can see that we separate by the color of the worker coat. And if we win in the positive farm, we can use the open truck. So what is the selling house? The selling house is so by the concept that the customer truck not go to the farm. So we have an idea that we have a central selling house for the contact farming or for the many farm in that area. So we use the central selling house. This is a customer truck go to the selling house, not go directly to farm. And this is the same as I mentioned before, that the load out, load in, and septic pit, and anything the same. And this is a customer truck or buffer truck move pick to the load in of the central selling house. So this is can separate and prevent the disease contamination via the central selling house. And central selling house have a bigger than the general standard selling house at the farm site. So that's why we have also the same automatic truck spray, but a bigger and longer for the spray disinfectant. So, and we have at the central selling house, we have two load out. The one load out for the replacement gill, and another load out for the finishing pick. And the same as we have a solid floor for easy to clean and disinfect. So this is load in, and the driver from the load in not step on this area to make sure that try to avoid the contamination. And also the same, we have a draining line and for the solid floor for clean and disinfect. So let's talk about the software part. For the software part, this is composed of the customer, selling house, and farm inside truck and pig house. And I will tell you what's the story from the pathogen from the outside, right? As I mentioned before, the customer may go to a slaughterhouse, go to the other farm, go to anywhere, or even market, so, and then go to your farm, right? So at the load out, this is contamination by the direct contact via selling staff and customer truck, and then direct contact between the selling staff and the farm truck driver, like this picture. Like you can see, this is help each other. This is a good thing that they help each other, but it's not good for the disease prevention. And then finally, when the truck driver come back to the pig zone, they may have a contamination to the pig house, like this. So what we gonna do for make sure that every process, every protocol do follow the good practice. So we install 5 CCTV to monitoring. The first is the load out area. The second, so this is a load out area. 2, this is farm outside. The truck from the outside have to wash and disinfect and have a downtime at least for 8 hours before picking up your pig, right? This is duty for the first CCTV one. The next CCTV is for the in the load out, that the do not direct contact between the customer and worker. The truck have to disinfect when arrive, and with automatic car spray and excuse me. And load out have to wash and disinfect after finishing activity. In every end of the day, they need to clean and disinfect every day. For the inside selling house, they don't overstock more than 24 hours, because we know that the many pathogens have incubation at least 24 hours, and have to wash and disinfect after finished activity in each day also. So for the CCTV in the load in, do not contact between the selling house and for the worker in selling house and farm driver. And load in have to wash and disinfect after go to the next round and after finish activity. So we also have a CCTV inside at the car washing area, as I mentioned before. Have to wash before go back to the pig area. So what we're gonna do for the monitoring? Start within the farms. We have a staff to monitoring daily, and then we have also have a auditor to make sure that the farm do the same protocol and do follow the good practice. And then we have a cross check by the veterinarian for the other area. For example, if I have a cross check to my colleague who do in the other area, and he cross-check in my area, for example. And then we have a meeting and have a conclusion for the good practice, have an action plan, any case study, any the problem, we have learning and do the action plan for and redo loop for the again and again. So, and how about the worker and equipment? This is 16% of the cost of outbreak. I think that every farm have the same protocol, shower in, shower out, right? But for the CPF, we have one more thing, that the we call the automatic disinfectant spray and shower lock. This means that if you go to the middle room, the door is automatically locked at least 5 minutes, and disinfectant spray and water for shower gonna do running for the 5 minutes. So you cross in the middle, you cannot go back or go forward. At least 5 minutes and go to the next room. So and this is our validation test for the UV box, and as you know that many farms use the UV box, right, for the object that cannot touch the water. So but we have a validation test. We spray the object with the manual spray like a pig shit, and to swab and found that we have a bacteria 600,000 something, and this is for the upper, I mean the contact with the UV light, and this the lower is the no contact with the UV light, and after 5 minutes for the UV light, we found that less than 1 colony for the upper part. However, for the lower part that not direct contact to the UV light, this is still found some the bacterial colony, and this is control for the comparison between the UV and alcohol spray. So what we're gonna do? This is a new model of UV box that we have both sided of the UV light to have a make sure that the upper and lower part have a direct contact to the UV. So and for the replacement cube, as I mentioned before, we have two kind of farm, that farm PRRS negative farm and PRRS positive farm, and our GGP and GP is PRRS negative farm. So when we sending the replacement cube to the PRRS, we have two kind of the replacement from the PRRS negative farm to the PRRS negative farm, and PRRS negative farm to the PRRS positive farm. Sorry if not clear. This is sender farm send the replacement cube in the PRRS negative farm to the PRRS negative farm use the oral fluid. But the oral fluid already talked by Dr. Zimmerman. For the terminal farm, we have an isolation house. This is for the PRRS negative farm. We test 100% for at least 14 days, and then if negative, 100% negative, we move to the acclimatization room, and then finally move after acclimatization, move to in the breeding and gestation unit. And this is already what we did in CP farm and already presented by Dr. Zimmerman. So skip to the PRRS negative farm to the PRRS positive farm. For the PRRS positive farm, we also do the PRRS vaccine, and we also do the same, that we use oral fluid per pen, and take the blood sampling at the 14, 45, and 75 days. And if already have immunity for the vaccine, we move to the inside. So, and how about the transportation? The transportation, I think we have the same in every farm, have the spray, disinfectant spray, to make sure that you spray disinfectant. We use butyroldehyde 100 to 2000 to 400 at least 1 minute, and change disinfectant every week. So, and the next topic that to present about the PRRS vaccine to stabilize in PRRS positive farm. So before we use the vaccine, what we expect from the vaccine? The first thing is we hope that the vaccine can reduce mortality in piglet during and after PRRS outbreak. And the next is reduce productivity loss in sow during and after PRRS outbreak, and reduce the PRRS shedding from the sow to the piglet, and develop immunity against for the PRRS virus in the gill. This is we expect and what we see in the real life. So this is comparison between farm A and farm B. For the farm A, this is 2400 sow and PRRS negative previously and have an outbreak and in both farm and a different time. So the first farm after outbreak, we have a PRRS vaccination, and farm B outbreak without we did not vaccine after outbreak, and you can see that the duration of the production loss, the upper is the upper stillborn and the lower is the pre-weaning mortality. The green line is the normal productivity, and you can see this is the duration of the loss of production is the same with vaccine and without vaccine is about 6 months and 5 months. And we trace back that at that time, when we do the vaccine, this the PRRS already outbreak more than 50% in the south farm. So this may be a possible thing that to have a category for do the vaccine. So for the next comparison, for the farm NT and farm SK, for the farm NT, we do the same. That after outbreak, we do the vaccine, and for the farm SK, we did not use vaccine, and the same criteria that previously the PRRS negative farm. And so at this time, after we know that outbreak, we do the vaccine immediately and found that this helped to reduce the period mortality just only 3 months compared to the farm SK that at least 6 months when turned back to the normal productivity. So this is another case that the site to win to finish. This is a PRRS negative pig to site 2 and all in all by barn, and the black dot it is productivity before outbreak, and this is productivity after outbreak, and the white dot is after we have a decision to do the vaccine, and the productivity of the mortality is reduced over time. And this is one farm, one site have a PRRS positive farm, and this farm have all in all by farm this unit about 10,000 finishing pig, and after we have a decision to do the vaccine, this is a trend of the mortality is reduced, but not every case like this. This is another example for the finishing unit that this is a PRRS negative farm, and until we have a red dot, this means outbreak again, and we have this time we have a decision to do the vaccine, right? And even we do the vaccine, we still have a high mortality. Okay, we have a stop vaccine, and the mortality is still the same. So what we do for the PRRS vaccine right now, and we have 2 categories for the PRRS negative area and PRRS positive area. For the this piglet, the first thing that we need to consider is is this piglet already infected or not? I mean, this piglet already infected the virus from sow or not? If not, and this piglet also move to the pig negative area, we not do vaccine. And if the piglet do the positive area like endemic area or high prevalence of the PRRS virus, we do the vaccine and before moving to the positive area. And if the piglet already infect the virus, we do not do the vaccine. And even this piglet move to the site 2, we have a decision no vaccine because it's already infected the wild type of virus. And how about the PRRS negative sound, or this mean this farm is negative farm. So in negative farm, nobody do vaccine in negative farm, right? And also in if stable inactive farm is do not do vaccine. And for the first negative in the positive area or high endemic area, we do the vaccine. And also in the replacement queue, that for the negative farm we did not use the vaccine, and for the positive area we do the vaccine. So for the take home message is the number one is you need to implement more than 100% in the biosecurity. And for the vaccine, you need to do the vaccine at the right time and right place, and right vaccine. So, and finally, thank you for your attention.